my friends, it's Bella and welcome to my thought for Sunday. You know, this week I've been looking around and buying a few things and searching things out at charity shops and thrift stores to make videos. And I thought, it just got me into the mindset of thinking about giving and receiving and how the charity shops, you know, are there to help the different organisations, aren't they? Whatever that particular charity is. I was in the Heart Association, but I go into many of the others. And it just got me, when I came home, it just got me into thinking about giving and receiving. And I said to you, it will be always a thought that I had during the week that I wanted to share with you. And I was thinking a lot about that when I got home, really. How do we give and receive, and how do we feel about both, you know? I think the saying is better to give than to receive. I believe that, but it's also nice to receive. And I don't think anybody would really in their heart think different, because I love it. I love to, you know, be given a gift and generosity. And of course we all do it, don't we? And, you know, someone that's taken time to think things out and, you know, presents. But how do we look at it, or how do we judge it as size, as price, as cost? I think the world's become very much like that. You know, the bigger the better in any circumstances. And if someone gives us a gift, or if we give a gift, do we feel we have to keep up? Do we feel we have to, you know, compete with anybody else giving gifts? Or how do we feel? But it is more about the place, isn't it, that the gift is coming from. I think one of my very favourite stories in the Bible is when Jesus is at the temple and the poor widow comes along and she puts 2 little coins in the collection tray. And Jesus says that, and all the Pharisees and the rich people, you know, are around, and he said that the widow had given more than all the others put together, because the others had given from their surplus. They'd given from their vast wealth, which is meant to be a small percentage of their large wealth. Although it was a lot of money, it was still only a percentage. But she gave everything. She gave everything she had. And Jesus saw that as giving more. And I thought, I've always loved that lesson. I always loved that lesson even when I was a child. I've always thought about that, you know. And I think some of the situations that come to my mind with how we feel about giving and receiving. Another time when I was very young, I had a friend, and her father was quite affluent. And when it used to come around to her birthday, or she was going out, or we were going somewhere, or our crowd, you know, didn't quite have enough money for something, or as teenagers do, he would say, I'll do it, I'll pay for it. And he used to get his checkbook out, and he'd put his checkbook on the table, and he'd flex his arm so everybody could see him writing this check, you know. And as young as I was, I used to think, it's nothing compared to your wealth, because he was an affluent man, you know, and I thought, it's nothing compared to your wealth. Why are you doing that? Why are you flexing your arm? Why are you doing that, you know? And it always struck me that he was giving more for himself, to prove what he was, to show how good he was, and I was only young. I was a young teenager. But I used to see that and I used to think, that's not right. That's not right. I mean, I haven't seen this family for years and years. The ships that pass in the night, and it's many, many decades since I've seen them. But it always struck me then. And something that has struck me as well, and often does, is, you know, when you have those charity shows where you have like the Pugsy Bear over here and Children in Need and the different shows that come on, and they collect the money, don't they, for charity. And I think that they're a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful idea. But I always think, you know, when they say such and such a company has given and such a company has given this, and they're very, very generous donations, and the company's managing director or somebody comes onto the stage, and this is how much this company has given, and they come out with a check, and the check is practically the size of the stage. Obviously, it's just a reconstruction of the check, but it's the size of the stage. It's nearly as tall as the guy that's doing it. This is how much this company has given. Everyone can see this massive check. Now I wonder, not that I want this to be done, because I think anyway that these money for the charities are very, very important, but I wonder in the back of my mind if there was some sort of written rule that all donations had to be anonymous, that you couldn't go onto the stage with your great big check and show how absolutely generous you are. I wonder if the donations would be as big. Is that me being sceptical? That's how I feel about a way of giving and receiving. In the temple, you know, you would see the portrays to us, the Bible portrays to us that the generous, the rich that are giving, and how generous they are, and look how wonderful they are to give this money. But the widow, she just comes in and she's very quiet. She makes no fuss, and she puts the 2 coins in the collection. And yet that's probably her food money. It was her food money. It's everything she had. So yes, it was her food money. And it always makes me think, it's something that struck me, as I said, even from the guy writing the check when I was younger. Are there other reasons for giving? And what is our attitude to giving and receiving? And can we give in hope to receive? I think it's possible, you know, and I see that, and I always think that's worrying. I do, especially when I see these shows, you know, when, as I say, with the great big check, and I think, you know, and the guy who, as I said, when I was younger, writing the check. I mean, we all give our children what we can, don't we? We all give our children what we can, and the majority of us who are parents will sacrifice for our children. That's comes with the territory, yeah? Suddenly there's people in your life that come far before you. I think that's any normal parent's feeling. And I've done the same for my children, of course I have. But nobody knows. I don't do it in front of their friends. I don't do it in front of, you know, if I think, I mean, my children are older now, and they're very self-sufficient. But I never did it in front of their friends. If I thought they needed anything, I called them outside and take that, yeah. And that was it. That was it. And isn't that how giving should be done? And I was so young at the time, you know, when with this guy writing the check. I was so young, but it struck me even then that shouldn't you give anonymously? Shouldn't it be without anybody knowing and from the heart? Because if that person's writing that check and that big cardboard check on the stage, is it wholeheartedly to help the cause? Because if it was wholeheartedly to help the cause, why would be the need for that great big check? It's just something that's always struck me as funny, and all my life it's always sort of been there that I've wondered about that, you know. And I suppose going into the charity shops this week and seeing the different things that are donated and the voluntary work that the lovely ladies do in the charity shops, you know, I just think there's different, and receiving as well, there's different attitudes to that, you know. And do you receive the 2 coins the same way as you would receive the big gift? How do you feel about it? How do you judge the people that have given you the 2 coins compared to the people that have given you the big gift? Because it goes both ways, doesn't it? It goes both ways. And it's just something that's always struck me and sort of been important to me. So that was my thought for this week. As I said, I thought about it because I was in the charity shops and I wanted to share that with you. I will list the scripture down below that I'm thinking of, because I love that story. It's always been one of my favourites. I think it's an amazing lesson. I will see you again in my next video. Thank you for joining me, guys. Take care of yourself. Love you all. Bye. Bye.